Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hola Trader Stories. Today we're joined by a very special guest, William from Canada, who ranked number 5 in our Market Rumble competition. So extremely impressive considering how many entries there were. He won himself a 2-step Prime account, 10K account with Match Trader and with weekly payouts. So William, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time to be on the show. How are you doing?
No problem. Thank you. Thanks for having
Awesome.
me on. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Great to hear. So William, just to get straight into it, essentially, I'm sure the viewers would love to know, how you got into trading, your kind of story, what led you to trading, stuff like that, basically.
Yeah, sure. Like long story short, I think it was back in like 2017 or 2018. You have your typical like trading gurus like promoting trading on like Instagram. So
Yeah.
I kind of got into that space, but like I come from a background of like, digital marketing and e-commerce. So that was kind of my main step in the door with like online money per se. But I've always had a passion for trading. Like you could say it's about the money, but like I always have a passion. So I knew that like after doing all of that, I would kind of wrap around and come back into the trading realm and learn more things. So I was kind of on and off in the space, but since 2017, 2018 was like the initial exposure. But like the past few recent years is when I really put my head down and started learning. So yeah.
Awesome. So you would say, you've been in the game for quite a few years now, but
Yeah.
you haven't really, really stuck into it until the last year.
Yeah.
And you're already, pulling some great results,
Yeah.
which is, I wouldn't say unheard of, but it's definitely more on
Hmm.
the rare side as people usually, it's almost like they snowball into it. It takes many, many years of just hardened graft, and then
Yeah,
eventually they kind of just sort of get better over time.
for sure.
So yeah, that's very impressive. So do you trade at the moment? What kind of instruments do you trade? Is it more the Forex pairs or is it indices, commodities?
Yeah, so I like to look at mainly gold and US 30 or Dow Jones,
Mm,
sometimes Bitcoin a little bit, but those main three. I like to rotate between them because they're very volatile pairs,
yeah,
and they give a lot of good volume during New York sessions. So yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, you picked definitely the most
Mhm.
liquid, volatile, volatile
Yeah.
instruments you could choose. So, does that? I mean, are you like a swing trader, intraday, scalper? What kind of trader are you?
I'd say I'm more of intraday type of trader. Like I try to take maybe maximum 1 or 2 trades a day and ideally hold them until the end of the day. And then my strategy more so gives me an option to hold longer if I want to, depending on what I see at the new market open.
Mm,
But for most part, I just like to hold it until the end of the day and get out by the end of the day. Yeah.
nice. And you mentioned you mostly trade New York session, correct?
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
take trades early in Asia, but like New York
Ah,
is usually when I expect like push in the move to come
right.
from like US 30. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So basically, I'm assuming quite late for you then. You would be analyzing, take the
Yeah.
trade, go to sleep, wake up,
Yeah.
and continue. Basically, wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you manage? Because this is a thing a lot of traders find difficult,
Uh-huh.
going to sleep when they're in an active trade.
It's to be honest, it's not easy. Sometimes I'm like, awake for quite a long time, like
Yeah.
monitoring the trades and stuff. But I try to have the mindset that like I don't have control over the markets. So like once I'm in and my risk management and everything is set, and I just let the trade play out. But I do understand that factor too. So sometimes I am awake, and I don't really get sleep looking
Yeah.
at the trades. So
Oh, absolutely. I remember.
yeah,
I don't hold trades anymore overnight. But when I did, my
yeah,
dreams used to literally be about the trade, and
yeah,
I found it so difficult to sleep. It just wasn't worth the stress for me. So
for
I
sure.
end it now before the day's over. I get out.
Yeah,
But no, that's it shows you got a good mindset at least.
yeah,
You accept whatever happens in a trade. You've got good risk management, so you're not going to
yeah,
wake up completely your account blown or anything like that.
yeah.
Um, Talking about risk management, Obviously, any good trader needs to have very good risk management. So, what kind of normally do you target? Like risk reward ratio? Is it like 1 to 2, 1 to 3?
I actually don't have a set, risk reward ratio
Hmm.
because like since I'm holding until the end of the day, it really just based on like how volatile the market is that day and how far that pair might extend for that day. So it really
Mm,
depends. So usually maybe I'd say on average, maybe a 1 to 3, 1 to 4 on average is what
yeah,
I'd aim for. Yeah.
well, that's really interesting. So,
Yeah.
when you enter the trade, you don't have a predefined take profit. Essentially, you
No. Yeah.
wow,
If I
okay,
have if I'm projecting two moves on that pair, then like let's say I want to buy and I'm expecting a sell somewhere else or vice versa, that's probably when I'll have like a set TP. But
yeah.
if it's just a one move day, based on how my strategy works, um, then I'll just hold it until the end of the day for the most part. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's almost like your method is predicting the next day's candle, essentially, if
Yeah.
it's going to be
Yeah.
bullish or bearish. That's actually
Yeah.
very interesting. Um, I'm assuming, obviously, stop loss that's fixed, right?
Yeah. Stop
Yeah.
stop loss is fixed in terms of like the percentage amount, right?
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, percentage amount, and then like I don't have like a set like points. Like it's always going to be 200 point stop loss on a certain pair, whatever,
Sure.
for example. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense. And like I said, percentage. Sorry, like you said, percentage is probably one of the most important. Because you find this with a lot of traders, they focus too much on the pips itself,
yeah,
but they're
yeah,
not taking into account the actual percentage that they're risking. So I'm
100%,
only
yeah,
risking 10 pips, but
hmm
that 10 pips with your lot size is 20% of your account. That's
yeah,
it's not going to work. Do you see what I mean? But
yeah,
absolutely, always convert your balance and obviously into a percentage, and then you can use the right lot size. So
yeah,
um, couldn't agree more. That's really good. Talking about your strategy, I know
hmm
you don't want to go into details or actually give
yeah,
away your exact method, which
for sure,
absolutely we understand.
yeah,
But what could you tell the viewers, like roughly what it entails? Is it
sure,
indicator based, price action based, order
yeah,
flow based, whatever it might be?
100%. Yeah, I can get into it a little bit. This might surprise a lot of people, but I use numerology as my foundation for trading,
Wow.
and I kind of combine it with price action at the same time. Uh, but numerology, I know it sounds kind of woo-woo, like
No,
people
no, no.
like stars and planets, but
Yeah.
like if you look at your chart right now, there's numbers on there, right? So you can't really deny the fact that like, numbers, they
Oh,
don't lie, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
So that's kind of the premise of it. Past few years ago, I got exposed to numerology, just like I don't want to get off topic here, but the
No, no, no.
main
Please.
foundation of it, right? There was this gentleman named GG33. He goes by Gary. So I learned a lot of his foundations about how to apply numerology. And
Mm,
then just taking that basic foundation, I just kind of thought out the box and developed on my own strategies utilizing numerology. So that's kind of the base premise there. I don't use any indicators, but I have been through the whole route of like other people's courses, smart money traders, smart money
yeah.
concepts, and
Yeah.
all those things. I don't disagree that like you can't be profitable with those things too, right? But like this just resonated with me more, so I'm
Yeah.
just using that, right? So yeah,
Wow. I mean, that's I did not expect that. That's fascinating.
yeah,
But you know what? A lot, like you said, a lot of people might think, well, there's no truth to that. But I can see
yeah,
how actually, because essentially the charts are just a collective of people, right? And
yeah,
obviously algorithms as well, because there are a lot of robotic traits. But it's
100%.
just almost like a living consciousness in a weird way, right?
Yeah,
So that's why stuff like psychological levels work. Round numbers,
yeah,
they tend to kind of react around the charts will react around round numbers just because psychologically people are happy when they see a nice round number. They set that as a target, a
yeah,
entry, whatever it might be. So I can see how absolutely, if obviously I don't know in depth how
hmm
how it works, but I can see
yeah,
how there could be some element of truth to that. Absolutely. And if it
yeah,
gets you the results,
yeah.
hey, do you know what
Why
I
not,
mean?
right? Yeah,
Exactly. That's the point. You mentioned, so going away from the numerology for 2 minutes.
yeah,
I also like what you said about how it resonated with you, your
Hmm.
strategy. And
Yeah.
because this is what I find very important with, a lot of traders who are trying to find a strategy. People are always jumping from strategy to strategy. And I
Yeah.
think what's important is to find something that resonates with you, just like you said.
Yeah.
If you're someone who quite likes the thrill of trading, maybe look for more of a scalping type strategy, and really
Hmm.
just perfect on it. As long as you
Yeah.
have an edge on the market, good risk management, you stick to your rules, you
Yeah.
can become profitable. Some are more profitable than others, sure, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, if you're making percentage gains every month,
Yeah.
that's the whole aim of the game.
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah, really, really interesting. Um, how does that play on your psychology and emotions of trading? You know,
Like
you're using
utilizing
yeah,
it kind of gives me more of an edge because I'm not using what most people are using in a sense. So I'm not really looking at it the same way that people are like, processing and thinking about it.
yeah,
Um, of course, like with the model that I have, it's not like every single day, like it's a static rule base that like I follow like to the T.
mm,
It varies, right? There's like different fluctuations within the model itself. Like some days might present certain things that have happened, and some days it doesn't happen. So like based on what happens and what doesn't happen, I'm making like choices and decisions in my trading based off of that. So I'd say it gives me an edge personally because I'm kind of able to think out the box in a way. Because like there's so many ways to get into a chart, but like with indicators, I guess the only issue is like for most indicators, depending how you use them, a lot of it is like lagging information,
yeah,
right? Delayed information, or if anything, it's the same information that you see in the candlesticks, but it's just coded differently for you to
yeah,
see and just how you take it in, right? How you comprehend it. Right?
yeah. No, absolutely, couldn't agree more. Um, and also, I find having too many. I mean, this is just again my personal opinion, but having too many
Yeah.
indicators on a chart,
Hmm.
um, they can sometimes conflict with each other. One is telling
Yeah.
you, well, that's a bullish signal. The other one's telling you a bearish signal, and you don't know what to pick.
Yeah.
And I feel if you have too many strategies at once, almost, you
Hmm.
know, um, you might even be in a trade, which is great, a really good trade. You might get out early because you saw one
Yeah.
particular thing, that
Yeah.
aligns with some other indicator
On the
or
indicator.
some other strategy or something like that. And you're never really, sticking with a trade and letting it play out. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I absolutely agree. And the fact that it keeps your emotions in checks and give you,
Hmm.
an edge, and psychologically you're quite strong.
Hmm.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's probably one of the hardest parts I find most traders find, getting
Yeah.
psychologically robust. At least I found that the hardest part in
100%.
all
Yeah.
of it. Learning a strategy is, just time and practice. You
Hmm.
get used to it. Your eyes adjust to what you're meant to be looking out for. But
Yeah.
psychologically, you kind of learn that just by well, I learned it the
Yeah.
hard way, lots of
Hmm.
failure until eventually
Yeah.
it was drilled in my head. How was it when you started? Did you have any like really bad failures that just said, all right, look, I gotta, you know, lock in and do this properly?
Yeah, 100%. Like when I began the journey, I was like almost everybody else, right? Like learning from a bunch of people, going through the stage of like trial and error to see what works and what doesn't. Maybe sometimes getting too ahead of myself or like getting too cocky in a sense, like, oh, I
Yeah.
think I got it all, but then you try it and it works for a little bit, but then all of a sudden it doesn't work, right? So I feel like a lot of people can like tell you like, hey, don't do this, that, and this, right? Don't make the same mistakes I made. But sometimes you personally have to go through the mistakes yourself to like really learn it, right? So um, definitely, yeah, I've failed a lot, right? Just like
Mhm.
most people. So it's about persistence and I think like grit. If you are a stubborn person and you have a lot of grit, I think you can do anything, right, that you put your mind to, and eventually it will work as long as you learn how to pivot and make the right changes necessary.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I remember once, like this affects even seasoned traders, I would say, because
Yeah.
like even when I was already profitable as a trader, consistently profitable, I
Hmm.
remember there was one trade that completely almost broke me because
Yeah.
I had a really good win streak for like 2 weeks straight. Just almost every trade I entered, I was winning. And maybe the market was just really good for my strategy in those 2 weeks. And I was making an absolute killing. And then
Hmm.
I decided to do something really stupid and over leverage in one trick. So I was like, I can't lose. I think my
Yeah,
win rate was almost just a bit above 90%. I was like, I just can't lose. So I over leveraged. And before I knew it, that happened to be the bad trade.
yeah,
And it hurt because I literally wiped out almost a week's worth of profit in one
yeah,
trade. And ever since then, I realized, okay, no matter how good things are going, you
yeah,
have to stick to your rules. You can
yeah,
never break them. So I learned the hard way as
100%.
well. Even when I wasn't a beginner, I was still making dumb mistakes. So yeah, absolutely. Um,
100%.
so I want to talk a bit about prop firms.
Yeah,
So obviously now you've got the two-step prime. You won the two-step prime account, a 10K account.
yeah,
Again, congratulations.
yeah. Thank you.
Have you? Is this your first experience with prop firms, or have you worked with prop firms before?
Yeah, so I've my experience with prop firms. I have some accounts of E8
Hmm.
funding, but I also have some like personal accounts that I trade as well on the side. So I do have experience, but I'd say over time, competition in this industry has grown, and I think like a lot of the features, like you know, that benefit the trader more are you know over time improving. So that's what I notice so far.
Awesome. So you're also trading your own capital as well, and you've got
Yeah,
prop firm accounts. Amazing. So you're
yeah,
quite diversification. So if you ever make a mistake or something goes wrong,
mhm,
it's not the end of the world for you. Essentially, that's
yeah.
awesome. That's great to hear. I guess just two more questions, and then we can wrap
Mhm.
up.
Sure.
Talking about any things that help shape you as a trader in terms of like your most memorable trade. Is there one trade that it could be good or bad? Doesn't have to be
Hmm.
particularly good or bad. It could be either. But
Yeah.
was there that one trade that really just shaped you as a trader? Really sticks in
To,
the head.
to be honest, I don't really have any certain like one trade that really does anything. But what I will say is that like I think the term like consistently profitable trader and all that, like it's more of like a state that we have to constantly be in, and it's something that
Yes.
we have to like reinforce ourselves to be disciplined on, right? So
Yeah.
like after a winning trade, for example, you got to kind of pull yourself back and say like, I'm not the best trader, I'm not number one, right? But even after a losing trade, you can't be too negative on yourself. So it's more of like, having a balance and not going too far on one side because when you let your kind of ego get to you, right, that's kind of when you might, possibly self-destruct, right? So
Oh,
yeah.
I'll say that's um, probably one of the best bits of advice
Yeah.
you could give to a new trader,
Yeah.
or not even just new, but any trader,
Hmm.
because I couldn't agree more. Honestly,
Yeah.
like I said, even when I had a really good run, I got
Yeah.
too cocky and it bit me in the ass. So
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. You have to you can't get ahead of yourself if you do whether
Hmm.
good or bad. And I feel sometimes, especially for new traders, if they have too much luck or do too well at
Yeah.
the beginning, it, it
Hmm.
usually it usually ends up quite bad because it goes to their
Yeah.
head and they think they're invincible essentially, and
Yeah.
they get humbled quickly. So you're
100%.
absolutely right, absolutely right. And last question to wrap up: is
Hmm.
there any tips or advice you would give to any trader who wants to become like yourself, pass challenges, be profitable, be consistent, just be a good trader?
Yeah, I'd say like after you take a losing trade, just remind yourself in your head that like the next trade that you take, you're like only as good as the next trade, but you're also like at the risk of completely destroying your account on the next trade. And if you can like reinforce that, that can help you um, kind of kill or slow down bad habits like over trading or revenge trading, and just like keeping yourself in check and just being real with yourself and knowing like, what's your personality type, and then, cater your strategy and develop that around yourself and knowing who you are basically. Yeah.
Amazing. No, I couldn't agree more. That's a
Yeah.
very wise words there. William, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Congratulations again. Did absolutely fantastic. And we hope to be sending you some good payouts in the near
Awesome.
future.
I'm excited.
So yeah, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah.
And we should definitely catch up again at some point.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
All right. Peace out.
So guys, that wraps up for today. Thank you for watching this episode of Ola Trader Stories. We got a lot of new episodes coming very soon with traders from all over the world. So do subscribe, do tune in for them. If you like this video, go ahead, click like, click subscribe, post a comment, do all that good stuff. Share it with your friends and other traders. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care.